Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Souls of Nations meditation. This is indeed a time when we must think about the higher aspects of every nation and trust that this global pandemic, which does seem to be a planned pandemic, I don't necessarily mean by planned by human beings, will take us far towards understanding that we must learn cooperation with each other. We have several years. We don't know whether the pandemic, which is now as bad and even worse, as bad as it has ever been, and maybe worse than it has ever been. We don't know when this will subside and whether these vaccines will work, etc., but we have the strong possibility that they will. And just as the flu does come back every year and people have to get their shots and so forth, this may be the kind of condition with this far more serious disease, which is being ignored by so many people who are thinking only of power and politics. So this is a grave mistake, showing a lack of care, a lack of consideration for one's fellow citizens. But something in the end must emerge at this threshold of the Aquarian age, something positive. We have been using Great Invocation number 2, and we will continue to do so as the attempt is constantly being made by fair means or foul, and mostly by means that are all out of alignment with the norms of the presidential office and government interrelations, to bring about a reversal of the will of the people that we cannot abide, and it will be, should it happen, it would be most serious for democracy across the world. Democracy is particularly that form of government which is associated with hierarchy. And the concentration, of course, is upon the externalization of the hierarchy and the reappearance of the Christ. This is the great planetary event, a momentous event, meant to bring the soul of our planet into fuller expression through our chain and through our globe. These are the things that are really happening behind the scenes. So, with the idea that we are helping to construct that great defending wall which guarantees that the will of the people will be heard and that their vote will count and that they will not be disenfranchised, we sound the Great Invocation number 2. Let the lords of liberation issue forth. Let them bring succor to the sons of men. Let the rider from the secret place come forth, and coming save. Come forth, O Mighty One. Let the souls of men awaken to the light, and may they stand with massed intent. Let the fiat of the Lord go forth. The end of woe has come. Come forth, O mighty one. The hour of service of the saving force has now arrived. Let it be spread abroad, O mighty one. Let light and love and power and death fulfill the purpose of the coming one. The will to save is here. The love to carry forth the work is widely spread abroad. The active aid of all who know the truth is also here. Come forth, O mighty one, and blend these three. Construct a great defending wall. The rule of evil now must end. Oh. Perhaps it is rarely that this second of the great invocations has as strong applicability as the other two, but this does seem to be such a time, and so we use it and we remain steadfast in our attempt to support the forces of light in our own little ways, and as groups who are esoterically inclined, we work together. The battle is always on between the angel of the presence of humanity and the dweller on the threshold. I'd like to read just a little bit from the Destiny of the Nations. We've worked with a number of the countries, and in our esoteric United Nations work, we work with many, many more. We try to work with all of the countries and territories, at least in a general sense. But DK also has some remarks to make about the general situation independently of the countries. So this little section here has to do with the spiritual life in the New Age. It's on page 107. He tells us that divinity will triumph. Yes. Divinity will triumph. Okay. One point I would like here to bring to your attention, and that is that the two great groups of divine agents, and that is, note that, because the forces of materialism do have their part to play within the plan of the solar logos, at least there, if not yet in the plans of the planetary logoi. So these two great groups of divine agents, the Great White Brotherhood and the Lodge of Materialistic Forces, are both of them seeking to divert these energies into channels which will further the ends for which they work and for which they were formed and exist. It seems that even the Lodge of Materialistic Forces were formed, and of course basically what they are is a continuation of the trend that was established in the previous solar system, which was a mental materialistic trend, long outlived, of course, time now when those trends must be relinquished, and something higher, having to do with the love energy, substituted for them. So he says, therefore, I would ask you to remember that behind all the outer events of these two directing agencies behind all the outer events are these two directing agencies, and you have as a consequence, number one, two groups of advanced minds, both equally illumined by the light of the intellect. That may come as a surprise. And both of them formulating clearly their objectives, but differing in their direction and their emphasis. Well, indeed, the Lodge of Materialistic Forces does have unusual capacities of mind, not that they outstrip the forces of light, but they are certainly not to be minimized. One group, under the divine plan, works with the form aspect entirely. Yes, the divine plan of the solar logos. And in this group, the light of love and of selflessness is absent. And yet, it is, in some way of consideration, a divine group. The other group is working entirely with the soul, or the consciousness aspect, and in this group, the doctrine of the heart and the law of love control. This is in keeping with the theme of the present solar system. So in this connection, the two groups are working in opposition, therefore, upon the mental plane. And then, we know where we stand, with which group we stand, as we try to get with the program of this particular second major solar system. Then, point two, the plans which embody these two differing ideals and objectives are carried down onto the astral plane and thus into the world of desire. And we can see that, many people affected very much by their desires are following one or the other. The lines of demarcation remain ever entirely clear as far as the workers in these two groups are concerned, but are not so clear where ordinary human beings and world disciples and initiates are concerned. There is much chaos on the plane of desire, and the world Arjuna is today sitting in bewilderment between the two opposing forces or camps, recognizing his relationship both to form and to the soul, and at the same time wondering where his duty lies. And we see this certainly acting out in the United States with the idea of the Gemini personality, the sixth ray of idealism, opposing idealisms, and Mars found in Gemini, giving us the warring brothers. His point in evolution determines his problem, the Arjuna problem. Thus, the two groups are working in opposition upon the plane of desire. This is so blatantly apparent. Although I would say that one group is working with less knowledge and has less development to to discern between the two directions and the fittingness of the consciousness, the soul, and the law of love, the fittingness for this particular solar system. Point 3, the materializing of the plans of these two groups of, note, illumined minds proceeds steadily under the differing laws of their being, the laws of form life and the laws of spiritual living. We must not discount the value of the laws of form life, but the timing is off. At least a new program is being instituted, and one of the group of illumined minds is not with the program. In this initial stage, and whilst the battle is being fought out in the realm of desire, under Libra I would say, for that is where the major conflict is being waged, and all that is happening upon the physical plane is only a reflection of an inner conflict. The forces of these two groups, working with the energies of the 6th and 7th rays, the 6th ray looking backwards toward the preservation of that which has been outlived, and the 7th ray in this instance seeking the development of a new energy, new for some thousands of years at least, at this rate of intensity. So, excuse me, the forces of these two groups, working with the energies of the 6th and 7th rays, have brought about in the field of physical living a complete cataclysm. Well, you know, this is being written a long time ago, but that type of cataclysm is certainly possible today. And in a way, the COVID virus has given us a growing cataclysm. When the Spanish flu, as it is misnomered, but came in 100 years ago, it was the second instance which was the worst, and we are passing now through our second instance with regard to this COVID pandemic. The economic situation and the religious hatreds are the two major instruments, and this is a subject upon which you would do well to ponder. So it's the blending of the out of alignment 3rd ray and 6th ray, which are causing the major problems, and then the political situation makes decisions regarding the status of economics and religion. And so we have the tendency to go back on the more ideal separation between church and state, which Masonry promotes, and we tend to work in the field of economics such that selfishness prevails, and many people are left out of the necessary divine circulatory flow. So, we will, I'll read this one more, and then I think this will be the reading for this morning. And end of reading, but I'll just give us a little bit of a segue into what we'll take up the next time. The next time will be an evening session. on the 28th of November, right on the, I guess, the Thanksgiving weekend here in the United States. Well, at least with regard to the United States on which we have been focusing, because the situation is so dire. So in summary here, consequently you have two groups, two objectives, two great formulated ideals, two streams of active energy and two rays, 6 and 7, predominantly in conflict, thus producing the differing ideologies. The result of this dualism is the external chaos, the differentiation of the two group ideals into the many human experiments, and the resultant ranging of the entire human family under many banners. Note the six-ray implication there, which testify to the various points of view in the many fields of thought: political, religious, economic, social, educational, philosophical. The result of all this conflict is, I would tell you, definitely good, for it demonstrates the steady achievement of the Great White Lodge. The consciousness of humanity has been definitely expanded, and the whole world of men at this time is thinking. This is a totally new phenomenon and a fresh experience in the life of the human soul. The first result of all the turmoil has been to shift the focus of human attention onto the mental plane, and thereby nearer to the sources of light and love. So, as drastic, as chaotic, as difficult, as frictional as the contending of these two forces seems to be, the end result will be good, and humanity will come closer to the ability truly to think. Okay, so that will be our reading, our discussion at this time, and there's not so many of us here this morning, but I do welcome you. I'm glad you're here with us, and we will continue to offer morning and evening sessions, whether they are broadcasts or webinars. Just sign up with the Moria Federation, and the constant contact mailings will bring you an understanding of when we're doing what. So feel free to join us if you're coming in for the first time, or if you're wanting to partake of the kinds of information that we offer, and the kinds of approach to spirituality which we stand behind. Now, a little bit more, and basically the idea is that we must build the egoic lotus, or causal body of our nation. These are the virtues found in our nation, where we live or where we have come to live. Some of us are citizens or residents of more than one country, and the goal, of course, is to be a citizen of the human race, internationally considered, so that our citizenship, our spiritual citizenship, promotes the causal development, the egoic lotus development of humanity as a whole, so that the angel of the presence of humanity may support um, the emergence of soul qualities in every nation. And so the often obstructive dweller on the threshold of humanity, rearing its head at this time, can be defeated. That is a prominent and necessary task. We bring in the white light, the light that banishes fear, one of the lights of the soul. We breathe it in. And we try to see in that light and from the soul perspective. And we meet each other in the light. And increasingly we meet each other as souls, first as soul-infusing personalities, and then actually as souls on the higher mental plane. And in so doing, we come into the presence of the Great Lord, who is the head of the hierarchy, head of the spiritual hierarchy, not some man-made hierarchy which is simply a reflection of the real thing. And we realize the reality of the presence of the Great Lord. And we affirm our solidarity with him and with his objectives to bring the plan of love and light, and increasingly of the spiritual will, into manifestation. And we say together, we have gathered in your name, Lord Maitreya. Be with us. Lord Maitreya, it's a word that means loving kindness. The different religions and philosophies have their different names for the Bodhisattva, the Lord who supervises the heart center of our little planet. That is the spiritual hierarchy of our planet. He's the head of that hierarchy. And in a way, the heart center too. And his intention is to be with us for the next 2,000 or so years and complete his ministry, which will help the transition of all of us as individuals and our groups and our nations, assist the transition into the fifth kingdom of nature, the kingdom of souls. It's a huge task, and he will be the initiator for so many thousands, even millions, in the new age. Now, we are born at different places in our different incarnations. We are attracted to associate with certain people with whom we share certain ray equipment, raid tendencies, and the areas where these countries are found, they're always changing their boundaries, but they have a certain magnetism which may frequently attract us to such areas. We've probably been born in many, many places over the millions of years and during the various root races, but our place of birth now calls on us and brings into our focus a certain sense of responsibility. We want the nations in which we are participating in those countries to express their best. And that means that we, as spiritual citizens of our country, have to express our best until we become truly spiritual citizens of humanity. And help our nation and every nation work in harmony and mutual support with the other nations. What are our soul qualities, and what are we offering to our nation first to enhance its radiation of the good, the beautiful, and the true? What are we sharing, each one of us, to determine that indeed we are spiritual citizens of our nation? We'll ponder a little bit. And what particularly is our nation sharing, or at least ideally sharing, with the great collection of nations, each with its own qualities and virtues? What can I give to my country, and what can my country give to the countries of the world? So often the motto of our country will indicate the proper path. I light the way for America. I reveal the light, I hide the seed, I indicate the way. All of these found in the Destiny of the Nations, right around page 50, will indicate a higher type of goal, a higher type of contribution, which our nation, once it is free of personality obstruction, can offer to the world, same as we do as individuals. Probably each one of us has a motto, a soul motto, which persists from life to life. And we have as well kind of personality difficulties, which tend to obstruct the expression of our motto. If you would ponder what might be your soul motto, now this is something we can really work on, because just as in the same way the motto of a nation is not expressed in perfection overnight, so it will be for our own soul motto, which may have a lot to do, of course, with our soul ray and with that sign of the zodiac, which is revealed to be particularly our soul sign. And of that we cannot be certain, but perhaps we can be more certain of our soul ray as it relates to our individual motto. And then, of course, we have our group mottos, our outer groups and our inner groups. There's much to learn about the right direction we might follow. I could have gone just one slide further, and there it would have been. Beautiful ideas. I hide the light. I indicate the way. I preserve. I release the light. I serve. I carve the paths. I light the way. I link two ways. I serve the lighted way. I disperse the clouds. I hide the seed. Some of the more prominent countries have their mottos right here. And maybe we can see the relationship between the soul ray and the motto. So let us spend some months pondering on what our individual motto may be, because it can give us a new sense of direction. And we will achieve at length a true world citizenship, a true citizenship within the great collection of monads we call the initiates, the human monads. And we will play our part in the area of international development with greater understanding. And we will close our work this morning with great invocation number 1, that calls for the forces of light and goodwill, still so needed in the world.